I was on with Jay last night. Shout out to Jay, JNSC, Harvey's, great sponsor. And this is what I had to say about Sidney Crosby in Pittsburgh. I am pleading, and I want to thank you. I want to thank your staff. I want to thank Harvey's for giving me this opportunity. Get Sidney Crosby out of Pittsburgh. Follow in the footsteps of Tom Brady. He's into his 19th season down there in Pittsburgh. He will always be remembered as a Penguin. It's him and Mario Lemieux, the two greatest Penguins of all time. He's given everything he possibly could to that franchise. That franchise is no longer repaying him. And I know he's loyal. I know he's still playing with Gino and Letang, and they've obviously got Carlson there, and you mentioned Gensel and others. But he's still one of the 10 or 12 best players in the world. You referenced it, Jay. He's still on pace for 50 goals. He's only done that once in his career. He hasn't done that in 14 years. This guy is in the top 10. He's top 10 for the Hart right now. Again, like I said, top 10 player in the world. I think he's got 3 or 4 years left in his career, and I want to see him chase Stanley Cups. I believe he's already a locked top 10 player of all time. I think he can make a solid case for being top 5, and I think if he follows in the footsteps of Brady, goes somewhere else, wins a cup, is competitive, playing on a relative teams in terms of playoff performances, that is going to make the case for him to get into the top 5 all time. Maybe he's a Mount Rushmore guy. Maybe he's one of the top 4. And I'd love to see it. I hate the idea of him just fading away the rest of his career on a team in Pittsburgh that is not competitive this year. So it goes on and on and on. But that's my case. Get him out. Get him out of Pittsburgh.
Dude, I think those are fantastic. Like, it pains me to compliment you, but I think it's really well said. And how can you argue against that? Unless Sid says, I'm a Penguin forever. I don't care if we have 5 wins all year long. I'm staying a Penguin. But the one thing that never comes up, and it's kind of weird with all these guys making all this money, is what the hell is his contract? His contract's never up. What did he sign, a 15-year deal at 8.7?
He did. It was like a 10 or 12-year deal at $8.7 million. Yeah. And he's up after next year. But I can tell you who hates that is Penguins fans. Like I said, my DMs on Instagram, Twitter, it's just people going nuts.
Well,
and I understand
they're not
that.
happy about it, and it's denial. It's denial that they don't like admitting.
Right. And listen, I'm not predicting it's going to happen, and I'm not here. I don't know I think Sid is loyal. I think in an ideal world, Sid would love to retire a Pittsburgh Penguin, but I think it's going to get worse. I think it's going to keep going south in Pitt.
Of course, they're only getting older.
Exactly. Man. And if you watch them play, he is still incredibly tenacious.
Oh, yeah.
He's on top of it. He's scoring goals. He's a stud. Later in that clip, though, I suggested one team. And again, I'm not an insider. I'm not saying this can't happen. I'm not saying that he's going to waive.
Let me guess. I'm going to guess. You said the Montreal Canadiens.
No, I said the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins.
Okay.
It's exactly what they need. A number 1 center. He goes there. They're the best team in the East, in my opinion. They're going to be a great team for the next 3 or 4 years.
They're the best team in the East right now.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Again, this is all pie in the sky stuff.
Yeah.
But could you imagine Sid goes to Boston, teams up with his boy. Marchand's from Halifax. He's from Cole Harbor. I mean, it's exactly what I'm talking about. An original
that's fantastic.
6 team.
It's fantastic chat, but the one thing you have to figure or factor in is that before that Sidney Crosby got to Pittsburgh, they almost boarded up the igloo and said, we're folding up shop.
I hear you.
So what are the ramifications of 87 leaving town? Is it going to revert back to that, or have they totally rebuilt things with the new building? Because Geno Malkin's no kid anymore. Neither's Letang. It's like this thing's going to blow up in their faces. How are they going to retool this? It seems like the retool with Sid, and it should have been just Sid and Letang and not Geno. They bought into Geno saying, I'm leaving, and they should have said, okay, there's the door. But they had to lock him in for 3 years, and I don't know. Maybe they got a mess on their hands, but the biggest question is what happens when 87, if he leaves, what would possibly happen to the organization?
Yeah, exactly, O'Duggan. And let's face it, guys. Like I like what you're coming from here as a hockey lover. I would love to see it. I want to see Sidney Crosby be impactful. I want to see him play in the Olympics in 2026 because we haven't seen that in so long. But this guy's made his bed. And he was one of the guys, he was lobbying the organization to get Letang that long-term deal that's keeping him in Pittsburgh through 2028. He was lobbying to keep the band together and keep Malkin around.
Of course he was.
So it would be a little disingenuous, in my opinion, for him to suddenly say, by the way, my deal's expiring in 2025. Get me the hell out.
Right. Again, I'm not predicting it will happen. I'm saying I want to see it because I honestly think that he has been undervalued now for too many years. I think he's become kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit. It's all McDavid and Matthews and Patterson and McCarr. And this guy is the LeBron equivalent. He's the Brady equivalent or close to it in terms of this generation, right? And Ovi's going to get his flowers because he's chasing Gretzky and doing what he's doing. Sid is still a top 10 player in the world and should be relevant. Like it
should be helping a team try to win a cup.
Absolutely. And that's what I'd love to see. And obviously there's a professional angle to this. The content would be incredible. Put him back at the forefront. He leaves, he goes somewhere else. Watching him in a different uniform, it'd be incredible.
And the only way it happens if he goes to the team and says, I'm done and thank you very much. Please trade me. That's the only way that goes down.
Yep.
No, to your point, like it is amazing. Like you look at the 5-on-5 offense this year. McDavid and Matthews have 32 points at 5-on-5. Crosby has 31.
Right.
And he's 36.
Exactly.
Think about that.
27 goals. It's incredible how good he's playing.